Well, hello, Chris. Welcome back to the MCT podcast. I see you're here lively and well, but I don't see Michael. Do you?
I mean, remember we called him a guest host for a reason. So he was on one week, he'll be off the next. It's okay.
He'll be back eventually. We swear.
Yeah. He is taking care of some important stuff yet again this week, so we forgive him once again. Some things are bigger than, hey, just like some things are bigger than sports, some things are bigger than our little podcast here, so we understand. But we still wanted to give you guys an episode. We know we missed last week, so we didn't really want to try. We didn't try to, we didn't want to miss 2 weeks in a row. And you know what, Toddeh? It's a special weekend. You know what? It is a special weekend. We had Pokemon. Listen to me. We had Pokemon 25th year anniversary celebration set finally get released yesterday, Friday, October 8th. I was super lucky after work and able to go to my local Target and actually was able to pick up an Elite Trainer box, a Pikachu V Union box, and at my GameStop, they still had a V Memories, Dark Sylveon, and Charizard box. Lance's Charizard, that is, box. So nice. Beth and I had a super fun card opening. I also opened an Evolving Skies Elite Trainer box, which is the first one of those I've been able to find on the shelf at retail price and get my hands on. So I picked that up, and you will not believe what came in my Evolving Skies Elite Trainer box. I just look. We're gonna put it on this side. I think is less clear. Look at. Wait, no, I can do this. Look at this beauty right here. Look at this. This is the alternate art Dragonite V, and one of my absolute chase cards from that set. It is a gorgeous card. It looks even better in person. I promise you, there's texture on it when you touch it. But as Beth
don't touch it. You're not supposed to.
I know. As Beth will tell you, last night she was sort of falling asleep while we were opening. So I opened the pack and I'm going through the motions, flipping through the cards. But yep, cool. All right, last card. Let's see if we got anything. Flip it up and literally go silent. I mean, I was like. And I safely dropped the card, literally went like this, let it go flat on the bed, and reached over, grabbed a sleeve, threw it in the sleeve, grabbed a hard sleeve, threw it in a hard case, and then basically showed Beth. She was like, yeah, you wouldn't even let me look at it until you had it sleeved up. And I was like, I'm so sorry. You have no idea how this is I don't even this. So it was insane. What a crazy pull. I obviously love pulling cards like that are my chase cards, but especially those ones like that, let's be honest, I wouldn't have bought that card probably ever on its own because of the cost of that individual card. Let's just say it's over $100 what that card costs on its own. So no, I'm not going to sell it, Toddeh. But so that was a great Evolving Skies Elite Trainer box, and then we opened up the celebration stuff today. Let's just say I had some more fantastic pulls in that. If you can find that set, if you're a Pokemon fan at all, good luck finding celebrations. But man, if you can and when you do, I promise you it's a great set to open up. It's really small, but everything in there is gorgeous. The hollows are gorgeous. Anything else you get in there is absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, it's been a fun weekend so far with that set coming out. And so yeah, that's hence the Pokemon hat and the Pokemon t-shirt. But we've got some sports stuff going on too, Toddeh. Like I keep saying, I feel like I've said it for the last 3 episodes. October is just that time of year, especially for me, that everything is kind of culminating together. We're in the swing of the NFL season. The NBA is right around the corner. We can smell it. We can feel it. And MLB is in the playoffs. Like we're winding down the MLB season. So it's a perfect culmination of the big 3, if you will, sports here in America, obviously. So I know soccer worldwide.
Soccer is playing right now, but oh well, they're just gambling on themselves anyway.
There you go. So first and foremost, Toddeh, we're going to talk about an interesting one. We're going to focus right now on the NBA, the National Basketball Association, because as everybody who's an NBA fan knows, Ben Simmons wants out. I mean, it's gone as far as he's told teammates, hey, I'm not showing up. Don't bother coming to my house and trying to change my mind. Like, I've locked the doors. Like, it's not happening. So I mean, he's made it as clear as you can make it that he wants out. So it seems like Toddeh, a very maybe not to this degree, maybe his is a little more actually poignant than Paul George's, but it feels very Paul George-esque to me at least, of like, hey, I'm done. Like, I want out. And I mean, there's some striking differences in the two scenarios. Don't get me wrong, because Paul George kind of wanted out, not because, I think, at least in my mind, he wanted out not because Indiana was failing him necessarily, but just he's like, look, I want to go to LA. I've wanted to go to LA. I've wanted to go to LA. It really feels like it had not anything to do with Indiana as much as I just want to be in this predetermined destination. And I could not get there before. Like, I was under contract. I had to build my superstardom to be able to force my way to LA. I couldn't just walk there.
Yeah.
Whereas like Ben Simmons, it's like, I don't care where I go. I'll go play in Mexico. Just get me out of Philly. I'm done in Philly. And it's just, it's a wild saga to look at from the outside looking in. So like, we'll get into the teams where he might fit, via trade and things like that. But first, like, what do you think is like just why? Like, why is Ben Simmons all of a sudden just like so adamant about like, they've let me down and I'm done?
Apparently he forgot the fact that they got rid of Markelle Fultz when they drafted him, 2 overall? 1 overall. I think Jason Tatum?
He might have been the first overall pick.
Yeah, because Jason Tatum was 2, wasn't he? Or was he 3?
So Tatum might have been like 4, to be honest.
I remember Philly took Fultz instead of him. So, but they got rid of Fultz for him. They send him away like, you're our RPG number 1, buddy. So like,
well,
what does he
and
want?
even Joel Embiid has come out and said, they built around Ben Simmons. So
yeah.
I mean,
like, they let the lane open for him so he can drive in because he doesn't know how to shoot. What do you want a team to do for you, bud? Like, they did everything that they want to. It's also like not your team because Embiid's better than you. Also, you're a player who's getting paid. Congrats. Ooh, I don't like the play style they're doing for me. Then why'd you sign a contract to play for them more when you already knew what play style you're doing, when you had a rookie contract and you played years then? Makes no sense to me.
I mean, I don't know if it's, I mean, I can't imagine it's something to, that it's Doc Rivers came in and changed everything. And I did a year of it and I hated every second. I can't imagine it's that. Even though obviously, we had another playoff letdown, for Doc Rivers' coaching career, but excuse me.
That's what Celtics legend like him gets losses.
It's just a God. How Doc Rivers for the rest of his life, by the way, side note, better be thanking Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, and Kevin Garnett for the rest of his life.
And
they
Rondo.
Better get thank you cards. And Rondo. They better get thank you
and
cards.
And big baby
every
Glenn
day.
Davis, who's going to jail.
Yeah. Yeah, what a wild story that is, too, by the way. What is it, 18 players?
18 players. Terrence Williams in the charge decided to do medical fraud with the NBA's medical retirement fund, in which they all used the same invoices and gave them to the NBA saying, oh, yeah, we all had this dental appointment with the same doctor on the same day for the same tooth at the same time. Good job, everybody. I'm guessing everyone's going to get fines besides Terrence Williams, who will probably go to jail. Don't ringling it.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Quality Doc Rivers player. So Ben Simmons should love Doc because he picks bad players.
I mean, so it's just, I mean, it's another one of those sports stories where kind of unfortunately we'll never hear the full truth from everybody. We'll never know exactly why Ben Simmons all of a sudden flipped that switch and not just like, yeah, I kind of want out. No, he flipped that switch and just like, bro, I Fresh Prince of Bel-Air this mansion. Like, I packed up this house. There's nothing in here. I'm gone. Get me out of here. So, I mean, it's a crazy, crazy saga that isn't, done yet. And And I know Ben Simmons, and then now if you switch your mindset from Ben Simmons, the enigma that's asking for the straight. If you look at Ben Simmons, the player, I know the numbers with his fourth quarter shooting in the playoffs and how he basically just did not want the ball in his hands in the fourth quarter at all, or he didn't want to shoot. And we know about he passed up the wide open dunk in the playoffs and this and that. But here's the deal too. He's only 23 years old. At the end of the day, he's not done growing. He's not done maturing. He's not done, he has not hit his peak yet. I mean, think like Miles Turner. Miles Turner came into the league at 18 years old, was very raw, but very good. And it's taken him some tough playoff losses, years and years of off-season trainings and getting bigger and getting stronger. And I still say, but listen, I still think he hasn't hit his peak either yet, and he's 25.
Wow.
So
how dare you compare a trash player like Ben Simmons to Miles Turner? Miles Turner can shoot threes, Chris. Can Ben Simmons? I don't think so. Miles Turner can hit free throws. Can Ben Simmons? I don't think so.
Okay. But you see the path that I'm trying to lead us down, though. That's all it is. I am not saying the two players are similar.
They don't know how to shoot yet. They play basketball how long in their life? It's called a free throw. It's free. You get up to the line. You get paid how much? Hit it. Dwight Howard got better, Chris. Dwight Howard got better at free throws. The man has a broken back half the time, and he's gotten better. DeAndre Jordan was like 90% for a while after he was horrible and Chris Paul yelled at him. Giannis hit all his threes in the finals.
Well, there you go. Just get Ben Simmons in the gym with Chris Paul for a minute and he'll just yell at him and fix his free throws.
Chris Paul will kill him. He'll lead a charge in the locker room.
I know the secret tunnel. Let's go. Funniest story ever still. I love that story so much. Okay, we're off track. Let's get back on track. Woo. So Ben Simmons, the player, though, in all honesty, he's 24 years old. He's uber talented if you can figure out a way to get that out of him. He's not this polished LeBron James, hey, just throw him anywhere and he's amazing, he'll figure it out. But he's uber talented in the right situations. We've seen him thrive at times in Philly. So, I mean, he's not I don't know. He still has decent trade value. Has it tanked a bit because he's demanding this trade? Absolutely. This is one of the things that we see in the NBA more than other sports leagues is they are so superstar driven that it's a double-edged sword. Yeah, it brings in good ratings and it leads to great storylines and great drama, especially in regular season games that you probably otherwise wouldn't tune into. But it also has this drawback of, hey, you give the players the power, guess what? They're going to flex that power and either form super teams, go to the cities that they want to, and tank their trade value on the way. So that way that team can afford to bring them in, so I mean, and we're seeing that again right now with Ben Simmons. He's out here tanking his trade value, and Philly is trying to be, I think, really stubborn with it, and they're asking quite a bit out of anybody that they're in talks with. I mean, at one point, what was it that they wanted from Golden State? 6 first-round picks? I mean, and James Wiseman. I mean, they wanted everybody that wasn't named.
Portland was 3 first-round picks, 3 pick swaps, and CJ McCollum.
Yep. What? Which is just, it's never going to happen. I'm talking all these good things about Ben Simmons, that he's 24, he can still figure it out. But guess what?
He's not worth that.
That doesn't mean that doesn't mean, at the end of the day, he's still one player, by the way. He's one player. You can't give up your whole roster and your future for one player. It's not, even in the NBA, it won't change anything. So, I mean, the reason we're talking so much about Ben Simmons, by the way, in part is because the Pacers are actually kind of linked in these trade talks with Philly. And that scares me because I feel like the Pacers are in a dangerous spot where they might risk it for the biscuit and come up really short. Because I don't know how
risked it for the biscuit for Harden. He would have been cheaper.
I mean, cheaper, capital wise, but not money wise. So
true. I mean, I take it still. I can't.
What do you? I mean, and again, you talk about ludicrous trade proposals from Philly. I mean, I think when they were in talks with Indy, it was. I mean, I have heard everybody's name from Brogdon, Sabonis, Karis LeVert, Chris Duarte, their rookie. And, I mean, basically, everybody but kind of Miles Turner, which was an interesting name that I have not heard in those discussions. But I mean, again, if you're the Pacers, if Philly is steadfast on, hey, give us a first, a second, Brogdon, Sabonis, and Duarte. No, hang up the phone, get away from me. There's nobody in the league worth all of that, let alone Ben Simmons. I mean, it's too lopsided. Like I said, if you're gashing your roster and your future draft picks for one dude, I don't care who it is, it's not worth it. It's really tough. I mean, unless you're getting, prime LeBron James in year 6 and he can just drop 50 on a night whenever he decides to, and even then it's tough because we saw those Cleveland teams that he took in his early years to the finals, and he can't do it all. So I mean, it's really interesting. I'm really curious to see where Ben Simmons ends up, because I think the rest of the league is kind of playing chicken with Philly, and Philly's going to have to blink. I mean, Philly doesn't really have a choice here, because they're either going to sit on him for nothing and I don't even know, but there's no winning situation here for Philly. They need to, honestly, what they need to do, to be serious, what they need to do is get Kevin Pritchard on the phone, not for a trade, but to be like, hey, how do we get the best value out of our pissed off superstar that wants out? Because Kevin Pritchard's done it twice and won
very well,
and he's 2 for 2 on those. I will take that. Like, he's 2 for 2 on those deals. So Philly might want to get on the phone with him and say, how do we manage this? And hope that Pritchard gives them good advice and doesn't feel like being
Ben Simmons to the Clippers. They get Luke Kennard, some random scrubs to make the money work thing, because Luke Kennard's getting paid a bunch. Boom. Big 3 in LA.
Mm-hmm.
Philly gets something back. They can't be picks because they gave all the picks up when they.
Right. But imagine being Philly and thinking we're going from thinking we're going to get 6 firsts and James Wiseman from Golden State, and then settling on Luke Kennard and some other roster guys to make the money work.
Hey, if Luke Kennard had healthy knees, this would be a great situation.
Look,
it's too bad he's an old man with his knees.
So, all right. The other big news in the NBA in the last 2 weeks, really, that we've seen kind of as the preseason started to roll out and everything, the COVID news that came out, that the NBA is taking a stand and saying, hey, any unvaccinated players that miss games due to COVID protocols will not be paid for those games. Mm-hmm. That's a huge, huge step. And honestly, as much as I respect it, that's a big risk for the NBA to come out and basically black and white say that. I mean, that theoretically could have a lot of pushback. It has to the minority, which I think they obviously expected, but
mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it's the right decision, personally, but I mean, we've already seen it affect one player. Who was adamant about not getting the shot in Andrew Wiggins, even tried to get a religious exemption from the shot, was denied by that. And then the NBA came out and said, hey, if you're unvaccinated and miss games, you're not getting paid.
Mm-hmm.
And then homeboy got the shot within a week. So
they care about money.
I mean, hey, you need that. And I give him credit. I give him, this much credit for at least coming out and saying, hey, they were going to take my money. What was I supposed to do? All right.
There goes his values right there. Oh, money.
Yeah.
Oh, I need my generational wealth for my family. You've made $120 million over your career so far. What do you mean? What? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar said it the best. They don't care about us. in regards to players like Andrew Wiggins and Kyrie Irving.
In regards to players that are again essentially willing to put their teammates' health and things at risk.
Teammates' health, their families' health, their kids' health. Yeah.
Staff.
List goes
staff,
on.
Staff, everybody around. We know we unfortunately know all too well how this COVID thing works. So when you do that and you make that decision, it obviously does not just affect you. That's the biggest point. But anyway, we're not going to talk. We're not. That's not exactly what we're here for. But it was big NBA news for like I said, for them to come out and make that policy and make that statement and make that stand. So we here applaud the NBA for standing up for that, or at least I do. I don't want to speak for you, but I applaud them coming out and saying that. And frankly, it makes the most logical sense. Even if you are against the shot, guess what? If you don't show up to work, you don't get paid. I don't care.
You don't get paid time off in the NBA.
Nope, sure don't. So anyway, I think that's all we wanted to talk on the NBA. Yeah. Is that about right? Yeah, preseason's rolling. End of this month, we will be into the regular season. We've got some exciting matchups. When the regular season does kick off, we're looking forward to those. We've got them circled on the calendar, and don't worry, we will preview and review those games when they do happen. All right, it is time to move into our next segment. Toddeh, I'm excited for this one. I'm excited for this one. Even though my Chicago Cubs are not in it, and even though I tortured myself this past week and watched the Chicago Cubs 2016 World Series Championship DVD. And I will admit it right here, live on this camera. Hello, camera right there. I'll look right into it. Yeah, I watched that hour and a half documentary about the World Series. It took 7 games to erase a 108-year drought for the Chicago Cubs in their World Series. And you know what? I bawled like a child, like a baby. Hey. I teared up. I knew everything, Toddeh. I knew every single thing that was going to happen before it happened. And I still was jumping off of that couch over there, throwing my fist in the air and yes, absolutely tearing up at big moments throughout that series.
Do you remember when the White Sox won championships before the Cubs won one after 100 years?
In 2005.
Yeah. And do you remember when the White Sox won their division? And they're in the playoffs for the first time in back-to-back years. But now they're going to get swept by the Astros, so it's kind of funny for you guys. But you guys are in the playoffs, so it's even funnier. But then listen, they're going to be division leaders for the next 5 years. So who's laughing now?
Here's the deal, too. Call me whatever you want. Matt and our buddy Matt knows this. I don't actually hate the White Sox. In fact, I root for them. I really do. Listen, you have to understand.
But do you root for the Giants, Chris?
I have personal reasons.
Do you root for the Yankees, Chris?
Never. There's never a scenario where I root for the Yankees. My heart broke the most when Anthony Rizzo got traded to the evil empire. Do you understand how much that hurt me?
He'll resign too.
Hurt me. Anyway, I don't want to get into that because you'll make me cry again, and I don't want to cry on this podcast. But listen, the White Sox, Cubs fans may not like to hear it, but I don't care. The Chicago White Sox, their core right now built a lot like those Chicago Cubs that we loved and won a championship in 2016. That team is very, very similar. There's one big glaring difference, and that's the manager. But outside of that, Tony La Russa and Joe Madden couldn't be farther on the opposite ends of the spectrum. But outside of that, the teams are very similar. Very, very young, inexperienced, but uber talented core, flashy, exciting, in your face, just passionate about the game. And then, led by a couple of veterans behind the dish, and Yasmani Grandal, and at first base now with Jose Abreu, the reigning AL MVP. So the White Sox, like I said, they're built just like the Cubs. And you know what? They are down 2-0 to the Astros right now, which is a tough situation. And I believe I will say that the one thing, if you're a true White Sox fan, that I would hold my head up still about, you're not out yet. You've won 3 games, how many in a row, how many times this year? It's not impossible. And you've got 2 games at home to right away to get it right.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got game 3 tomorrow, Sunday, in your building, at home, pride's on the line, don't get swept. If you can find a way to win that game, you steal some momentum. You still have game 4 then theoretically back at home. You win that game, it is all even back to Houston. And let's be honest, Houston kind of shellacked you in game 1. I'll give them that. They came out swinging and hit you, and you didn't bounce back. In game 2, it was tied 4-4 in the 7th inning. And then Houston just, a couple of timely hits, a big bomb. All of a sudden, it was a 5-run inning.
Yep.
I mean, it's hard to say, hey, take that away. But in reality, take that away, and you guys are right there. So hang your head high. Play your asses off tomorrow. Don't get swept. Keep that momentum into game 4, and then anything can happen in a winner take all game 5 back in Houston. So don't drag your heads just yet. It's not over yet. I truly believe we'll see them win tomorrow and win in game 4 on Monday and force a game 5. That's what I'm choosing to believe. Obviously, like I said, it's because I'm rooting for the White Sox and I can't stand the Astros and don't want to see them win a game. But in all reality, I do think the White Sox are a good enough team to still combat this. But
so you want the White Sox to win, you want the Dodgers to win, you want the Yankees to lose, you want Atlanta to lose. I'm assuming
it's a tough. Listen, it's not easy for me right now. I'm just enjoying the postseason run, okay? Because
when the Dodgers win the World Series, will you be upset about this statement or not?
I mean, listen, I don't really hate the Dodgers either. So, listen. Okay, here's the real deal. All right. Coming into the playoffs, there were 2 teams that I was like, I cannot, under any circumstances, want them to win a damn game or see them raise that trophy. It's the New York Yankees and the St. Louis Cardinals. And they both got eliminated in the wild card game. I could not have been happier. Okay. So with those 2 gone, now my allegiance turn, now things change and you have to readjust. So
let's go Red Sox.
Listen, I want right now of the 8 teams that are still alive, I want the Milwaukee Brewers to win the World Series more than any other team.
Yeah,
I want them to win it so bad. For my dad, for everybody that's been a Milwaukee fan their whole lives. And you know what? Again, as a Cubs fan, who finally got to see my team win, anytime I have a chance to see, now that I've gone through that in 2016, I've taken that feeling to other sports and been like, look, hey, they've got a chance to break a 30+ years drought. You know what? Go for it. If it's football and the Colts are out of it, but you've got a team like I don't know, the Raiders.
The Rays are winning it all. I don't know why you're saying this.
And that's another team. Look, I would love
the city of Tampa Bay has already won enough, Chris. They had an NBA team for like half a season.
Yes, but
they have the Lightning. They have the
the Rays. So you're telling me the Rays have to get punished because their city has been good?
Yes,
that's
like Milwaukee's gonna get punished because the Bucks won. Now you know what that means? It's the Dodgers who got to win it because they have to make up for the year they lost to the cheaters. So they get 2 championships in the past 3 years.
I mean, that's going to be the crazy thing is if we get an LA and Houston World Series, God, I would hate it. But I at least would then have to pull for LA to win because I can't root for the Astros. I can't do it. So, but right now, like I said, I want the Brewers to win it all. So I don't really care who else is in the NL. My manager at work is a huge Braves fan. I've been alongside him, kind of pulling for them all this year too, since the Cubs were out. Like I want, so if they beat I told him, I was like, look, whoever wins between the Braves and Brewers, like I want that team to win the National League over the Dodgers and Giants, whoever comes out of the Dodgers and Giants. So yada, 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 got a lot of fandom rooting kind of all over the place in the AL. Yeah. I would love to see a Rays and White Sox ALCS because then I'm happy either way. So it'll be interesting to see this play out. But right now, updating this playoff picture real quick. So we do have, as we mentioned, I think the best series that we've got on tap right now, the 107-win San Francisco Giants and the 106-win Los Angeles Dodgers going at it in the NLDS is just immaculate. And I mean, the fact that those two teams have never met in the playoffs before is insane to me as well.
Yeah, very odd.
Very, very odd. I'm pulling up this this postseason scoreboard real quick just so I can know exactly where we're at. I mean, right now, as we are recording Saturday night, it is the top of the 6th inning in game 2 of that series between the Dodgers and Giants, and it is 2-1 Dodgers. So and San Francisco leads 1-0. They won game 1 in a dominant fashion with Logan Webb striking 10 out across 7 in the 3rd innings, I believe. Chris Bryant went deep, Buster Posey went deep, and I think Brandon Crawford went deep to make it to lead to a 4-0 shutout victory. So best team in baseball won game 1. No one's surprised there. But I think that's going to be a phenomenal series. It's probably going to go 4 or 5. So, it's going to be great. The Braves and Brewers played game 2 this afternoon. The Braves came alive, ended up winning that game in shutout fashion as well, 3-0, tying that series back up at 1, heading to Atlanta on Monday. So NL series looking good, looking like they're going to be a fun one to watch. Tomorrow, we've got game 3 between Tampa Bay and Boston. That series is tied at 1 as well. Boston's bats came alive in game 2. They hit 5 home runs to bust that one open and withstand Tampa Bay putting up a 5 spot in the bottom of the 1st to come back after hitting a grand slam in the bottom of the 1st. Like, that was a super fun game if you like offense. And then, as we mentioned earlier, game 3 between Houston and Chicago White Sox. Houston leading that series 2-0. Looking to sweep the White Sox in Chicago if they can tomorrow night. So yeah, I mean, we got 4 phenomenal series, and I think they're going to lead to 2 phenomenal championship series and then 1 phenomenal World Series. Personally, I'm hoping it's not, the Astros and Dodgers or the Astros and anybody. So, but I think there's a lot of fun to be had here in this postseason run. Like I said, even though my Cubs had no shot of being in it, I'm still tuned in because damn it, it's just exciting and I can't help myself. So for personal reasons, you mentioned if I'm rooting against the Giants, again, I may be in the minority here. I'm so selfish and I admit it off the bat. I don't want Chris Bryant to win another ring right now because my heart won't be able to handle it. I'm rooted, like, it's so weird because I love the dude so much and I'm rooting for him. And I wish, the Ricketts and the Cubs would have just signed the dude for life and given him a blank check, but they didn't. He's moved on. He's now on the best team in baseball, and he's happy. So I'm happy for him. But damn it, I don't want him to get another ring and kind of have a Peyton Manning situation, Toddeh, where his second ring kind of diminishes the first a little bit, and it would
want
hurt
him
my
to
heart.
Brett Favre it.
It would just hurt my heart too much. It's already gone through a lot this year, and seeing something like that happen, I think would just, absolutely crush it. Now, the last thing I'll say about it, and I admit, what would be worse would be watching Anthony Rizzo potentially win a World Series with the Yankees. So at least that's not going to happen. So I can breathe and sleep easier at night knowing that won't happen at least.
Yeah, but he's going to sign with them again, so it doesn't matter. He'll just be back there next year.
But we are in for a wild baseball postseason, and honestly, I'm here for it. It's just, I love baseball. I've loved baseball specifically my entire life, and it has not been for just one team. So I love the sport so much, and there's nothing like the postseason. There's nothing like October baseball. It's very, so special.
Very true.
It's like March Madness for a lot of people, and it's so good. It's so special. But all right, so that will wrap up our baseball update, if you will. And I think now will be a good time to take a little break, take a moment. I'm going to pass the baton over to our senior sports betting consultant, the one and only Mr. Toddeh Manoukian.
Yes. The senior here. I'm 4 for 6 the past 2 weeks. Technically, I'm 5 for 7. If I count all the ones I post on DraftKings, what I should do. So I'm not too bad. I'm better than Pat McAfee, who is an abysmal bettor right now. He is not doing well. He's 12 games down. So he's in the negative right now in his bets. So don't follow his bets. He's an idiot. You want to follow that dog on TikTok, though, because that dog is like 40-15.
Toddeh's taking shots.
A dog is better than Pat McAfee, Chris. A dog.
What is happening?
It's not my fault. Pat McAfee's bad betting. The Indiana sports betting website, the main one, shits on him. It's crazy. It's very rude of them. He's got more clout than them. Like what? That's like the state's website too. So it's really funny.
Yes. But, oh my God. It's hilarious.
I mean, I'm not doing too bad myself, so. But I'll give you a couple upsets and I'll give you a couple ones that I think you're going to win. Upset.
Hit us with some knowledge. Toddeh.
Upset, I'm going to say Jets over the Falcons. The Falcons have a run game, but they're missing their best wide receiver. They throw it to Pitts, but he's not getting utilized a lot. The Jets are hot off a win against the Titans, who have Derrick Henry. Woo! So I think they'll be able to stop the Falcons' run game a little bit. So bet on the spread or bet on the money line for that one. Next up, Dolphins versus Buccaneers. Go Buccaneers. Packers versus Bengals. I'm kind of confused about this one because I feel like the Bengals might pull up an upset. However, their defense is garbage. So Packers.
I will tell you this. That game, that Packers it's in Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
Cincinnati's coming off a nice win over Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
Over
they're
Chicago?
coming off a win on Jacksonville. That Thursday night game last week.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Because it was the battle of the number one.
They beat Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Jacksonville. Nobody's. Pittsburgh has a horrible QB. Jacksonville has a horrible situation. Minnesota was garbage in week 1. And they only won by a field goal.
Are you telling me Cincinnati's 3-1?
Yeah, Cincinnati's 3-1.
Okay.
But the Packers are also 3-1 with wins over a garbage Pittsburgh team, a good San Francisco team, a Lions team that kind of crapped the bed, and then a loss to New Orleans, which week 1.
Yeah. But my overall point, real quick, for interjecting, was it feels like a classic trap game.
Mm-hmm.
That the Packers are coming off, like you mentioned, that nice win over oh crap, why am I blanking? Who did they just beat? Pittsburgh. They're coming off a nice win over Pittsburgh at home, and now they've got to go to Cincinnati. They're feeling good. It feels like that game that can trip you up.
It's going to be an offense versus offense game. That's the issue.
Sure. Which, I mean, generally speaking, does lend itself to the needle pointing towards Aaron Rodgers. But it's tough. You just don't know. The Packers did put Jair Alexander on the short-term IR, so he's going to be out for at least 3 weeks. But they did add linebacker Jalen Smith, fresh off of his Cowboys release. So, I mean, does that really balance out? It's tough. But, yeah, I can see, as a Packers fan, I think I can see it because, like I said, again, it is that classic trap game.
Mm-hmm. Then I got Patriots over Texans because lol Texans. No one's gonna bet on them, especially with the third string QB. I'm pretty sure Tyrod's not back yet.
I'm pretty sure my alma mater, the Carmel Greyhounds, could beat the Houston Texans.
You're not wrong there. Their Carmel's pretty good, so
pretty good. You know it.
I think even though Trey Lance is going to start for San Francisco, I don't think his running ability is really going to outperform the Cardinals defense. So Cardinals for that game, Sunday at 4:25. Upset alert on this one. I'm going Bills over Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay.
I think Bills' defense is better than Kansas City's defense, so that's going to give Patrick Mahomes more trouble, kind of like how the Buccaneers did it. So going Bills on that one.
Okay.
And then
I know it's interesting because even though the Bills defense is really good, I feel like their strength is more in their secondary rather than up front.
Mm-hmm.
So because like the Buccaneers beat you with their front seven. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
They destroy you in the trenches, and their linebackers are elite and they're fantastic. Whereas the Bills, they're very solid all the way around, but I think their X factor lies in the secondary.
Mm-hmm.
So it might just be a little trickier to keep Mahomes in the pocket or keep him scrambling like Tampa was able to do.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. I think the Bills defense can do this, can end up with the same result. I just think it'll look a little differently than that Super Bowl did.
Yeah. And then for Monday night, it's Colts versus Baltimore. Mm-hmm. And so I got to at least pick something here. Colts aren't favored. They're plus 250. I'd rather not do that.
Okay.
I want to put down Lamar Jackson and Jonathan Taylor to combine for over 1.5 rushing touchdowns.
Okay.
That's the bet I would place on that. Jonathan Taylor's at least going to get one. He gets a touch. He's gotten a touchdown every game except one. Lamar Jackson's going to mess with our defense, so he'll get one. Easy win. Jonathan Taylor could get two, and we'd be good.
Lamar Jackson could get two.
No, Chris, he's only going to get one. We don't want him to get two. Come on, man.
I'm not saying we
be
don't
a fan
want
of the team.
Oh, my God.
That juju.
But okay,
that's why I'll bet on the Baltimore Ravens, so when they lose, I'll be happy the Colts win.
There you go.
If the Colts win...
But listen, I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you either way because that's a smart bet to bet on two players to combine for 1.5 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. It's a smart bet because either of those players can get 2 touchdowns on their own. So you're not banking on each getting one, really.
Unless Naheem Hines plays a lot this week, and then there goes that.
But still. Frank Reich loves to run it up the middle on those goal line situations with Jonathan Taylor. You're not running
too much.
I know you're not running Hines from the 1 yard line or the 2 yard line up the middle. Like you're just not doing it. Yeah. He might still get the ball if they try to be cute and do a screen or do whatever and change the lookup. But But yeah, I think generally speaking, it's a smart bet because either of those players can get 2 rushing touchdowns on their own. So it's not like it's hey, they're going to combine for 3 touchdowns, for 3 rushing touchdowns where you're like, well, crap, for that to hit, I know that like Jonathan Taylor's going to need 2 and Lamar Jackson will need 1 is the most likely outcome to hit 3. But at 1.5, I'm not going to be surprised if Jackson gets 2 on his own or Taylor gets 2 on his own. So, or 1 and 1 like you need. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that seems like a safe bet.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got about 15 minutes left, Chris. Let's talk about the rest of the NFL then. Why don't we?
Yeah. So let's hit some headlines then. If we got some time, we're looking at, so coming into the season, we talked about the NFC West as the strongest division in football. And let's be honest, I think so far, a quarter of the way through the season, and I say quarter because we're 4 weeks into a 17-week season instead of a 16. So we're not really going to get an actual quarter mark. This is as close as we're going to get. Anyway, we're a quarter of the way through the season, and that division looks as good as advertised. Not only is that division home to the last undefeated team of the season in the surprise upstart Arizona Cardinals, who I think all of us actually, I think Michael and I picked them to win the division, and I believe you went
really a surprise though.
It's a surprise. It is a surprise that they're the last undefeated team.
Okay, I'll give you that. Agreed.
It's not a surprise that they're 4-0. It's a surprise that they are the last remaining undefeated team. Because I guarantee you, Mr. Betting Man, that if that had been a bet before week 1 of who would be the last team standing, their odds probably would not have been the best, right?
I would love it. Also, funny quip here real quick.
Who did Tampa lose to?
Rams?
In week
3?
We should know this. We should know this.
Anywho, really funny quip here about MLB.
Yeah, you go ahead. I'm going to look this up, so you go ahead.
So, if the Giants win, every major sports book will lose up to at least $1 million. because they had horrible odds for the Giants to win. It was like 1 to 100 to 1. So if you bet $1, you get $100.
You're talking about the San Francisco Giants.
San Francisco Giants, yeah.
Make that clear because we're talking football, so people might think. So real quick, he's talking about if the San Francisco Giants win the World Series. That's the scenario we're talking about because they had such horrible odds at the beginning of the year. They were like, what was it, like plus 1,000?
It was 100 to 1.
100 to 1.
So if you bet $1, you get $100. So every major sports book is poised to lose up to $1 million each if the San Francisco Giants win. Not the New York Giants. Sorry, everybody. But that's just.
I just wanted to make that clear because it even confused little old me.
Little old you.
Just little. You were right. It was the Rams over the Bucks in week 3, 34-24.
I bet on that one. I bet the Rams. That's why.
Very nice. But yeah, so the NFC West has been as good as advertised, if not better. The Cardinals are looking like an absolute powerhouse at 4-0 early on in the year with big wins over. Let's see. Let's just take a look at what they've done so far. They had a dominating win in week 1 over the Titans. And then they beat the Vikings and Jaguars weeks 2 and 3. And then the really key win was last week, that 37-20 win in LA over the Rams. So both 3-0 teams coming into that one. And in Arizona, beat them by 17. So kind of blew the doors off of them. So Arizona looks fantastic. The Rams obviously are sitting at 3-1 with their only loss to those Cardinals that we're talking about. The Seahawks are sitting at
2-2.
2-2. Mm-hmm. And the 49ers are 1-3.
Are they really 1-3? I feel like they're 2-2.
They are also 2-2, and the Seahawks are actually 2-3.
Oh yeah, that's right, because they played already.
So they played Thursday night. So we've got two powerhouse teams. The Cardinals at the top at 4-0. The Rams are 4-1, and the 49ers are 2-2. They're about to start Trey Lance for his first career start. And then in fourth place are those Seahawks at 2-3 now on the year, with some bad news as well. That Russell Wilson needed surgery on his middle finger, and not only is he going to miss his first NFL start this week, they're bracing to miss him for about 6 weeks. Toddeh,
you mean good news? They have the best QB from the 2013 draft class, as their backup. And his name is Geno Smith.
You're not wrong.
Never forget. Never forget. What'd he say when he was with the Jets? What'd he say when he was with the Jets?
Jets.
I'm the best QB out there. Watch me.
There you go.
And what'd he do?
There you go.
What'd he do? 500 record, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. But in all reality, here's the big question. Russell Wilson expected to miss about 6 weeks recovering from that surgery on his finger, torn ligaments and all. What does that do to the Seahawks' chances of winning the NFC West this year?
It's like how the Packers lost Aaron Rodgers for the collarbone injury, or when it happened to the Cowboys. Yeah, they're kind of done now.
Yeah, it's the double-edged sword of, can they though in that division? They're going to have to be the second best team in that division, and you've got the Rams looking great, and the 49ers could also win 8 or 9 games. Basically at this point, it's do you trust Trey Lance to win more than Matthew Stafford and Trey Lance?
So basically, the two teams they would have to beat to get in the wild card are essentially Carolina and San Francisco. We'll say the Rams already get one wild card spot. So,
right, okay.
San Francisco and Carolina are the teams they have to be better than. I'd say New Orleans, but they're going 500. So,
always. So
They deserve it.
you're probably right. And the Bears will probably be right around 500 as well. So
yeah, and then Washington.
But yeah, basically
500.
let's look at it this way. For that second wild card spot, let's say you need 10 wins. Okay.
Mhm.
Now with Russell Wilson missing at least 6 weeks, do you see Seattle winning 10 games? I don't. I just don't. I think it's too tough.
Look at the schedule here. Win, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They can win 8 games. They can win against Pittsburgh, New Orleans, Jacksonville, Washington, San Francisco, Texans, Chicago, Lions. They lose every other divisional game though. So
yep, and the scary thing is, Toddeh, they're going to have to win all of those games you just mentioned just to get to 8 wins. They're probably, let's be honest, that'll be 10
wins then.
Just by means of averaging out, they'll probably lose 1 or even 2 of those games that you just mentioned.
If they lose 2 of the games I mentioned, they would be at 8 wins then, which would be below 500. So,
yeah. So I mean, it sucks, but it's the way of the NFL. You lose your quarterback. I mean, it's really hard to replicate something like that, and it's even harder to replicate a guy like Russell Wilson. So, a huge blow to the Seahawks, who were looking to keep that division just a fun, tight race. And unfortunately now we'll see what Geno Smith can do to hang on, but I just think
Geno Smith is going to be a bull moose. He's going to rush through everybody because he's a rushing QB. Don't forget that. He's got legs. Just kidding. He's old now, so he can't do that either.
But let's flip the switch a bit. Let's talk about those Arizona Cardinals, those 4-0 Arizona Cardinals. Let me just ask you, how far can they go, Toddeh?
All the way to the moon. They could probably get to the divisional championship. The conference championship.
Am I crazy to think like they're a Super Bowl contender? Like, I think they can win the NFC. I think they can win the whole damn thing.
Well, it's only been 5 games. It's going to be 5 games now. So remember where the Colts were a couple of years ago? We were 1-5 and then we turned it around.
Yeah.
They can always lose, like how the Seahawks are every year. They start off great and then
I know. And I mean, and to be honest, 2 of their wins, like we talked about, were against Minnesota and Jacksonville. So the good teams win those games anyway, because you've got to win those games. But it's harder to put stock into those games. Now, on the other hand, the other 2 wins are, I think, why they're Super Bowl contenders in my mind is if you look at weeks 1 and 4 so far. Week 1 against the Titans, arguably a divisional favorite playoff team. I mean, they dismantled them, absolutely shredded them. DeAndre Hopkins had 2 touchdowns, and Kyler Murray was putting up video game numbers and doing things just for the fun of it. And then week 4, you got a matchup of 2 unbeaten teams. It's not necessarily a must win, but it's a good game for if you're the Cardinals and you're this up and coming team that people are starting to pay attention to. But it's one of those games. Are you a contender or a pretender kind of thing? And they came out and, I mean, just kind of, again, dismantled the Rams. It wasn't about, again, beating them. It's kind of like college, right? Where it's not about, oh, you got the W. It's how much did you win by? How did it look? Did it look dominating? And again, in weeks 1 and 4 for the Cardinals against top tier teams or, playoff caliber teams, they made them look a step below. Mm-hmm. And when you can do things like that, and you're led by, I'm gonna call him right now, currently the MVP favorite, Kyler Murray. Hey,
TikTok would be making fun of you, Chris, because he's everyone's last on their list of top.
But listen, I meant to send you the story because I got it like last week probably after the Rams win, that Kyler Murray had actually overtaken the odds for Pat Mahomes to win the MVP. So
I believe that because Patrick Mahomes has been doo-doo.
But I'm telling you, I mean, with what Kyler is doing, and he's taken that again, he took a big step last year. He seems to be taking another step this year. They're getting more comfortable in Cliff Kingsbury's offense. And that defense is also scary. You've got Chandler Jones, Isaiah Simmons. Oh, JJ Watt is back there. I mean, they've got pieces. They've got a full roster, and they're healthy right now, which is just obviously as important as anything else. So yeah, I really think they could go all the way. Let's talk about our Indianapolis Colts while we're getting down to it. They finally picked up their first win of the year last week at the hands of those Miami Dolphins, led by former Colts quarterback Jacoby Brissett. And it was an up and down game, but you know what? The defense, I think, showed up the most. And I know you may not like it, but Carson Wentz made plays to put that game away. So very encouraging.
We got trashed in the first quarter. I'll give you that. And then he did better. The running game got established. Helped him out. Mo Alley Cox did his thing because play calling decided let's give it to the tall guy, which is good for him.
Two touchdowns from Mo Alley Cox. And that second one, whoo.
We just need tall people for Carson Wentz to throw to. That's it.
But so I mean,
T.Y. Hilton, sorry, bud, you're benched for the rest of the year when you come back.
But I mean, can we talk about that second Mo Alley Cox touchdown, by the way, catch? Because that was a man's catch. I mean, literally like four hands go on the football, and then two of them just go mine. Like,
so
he's like, yeah, he's like, yeah, that's cute, mine. I mean, we kind of talked about it in our group text with Michael and some of our other buddies. Like, I truly don't understand why every time inside the 10-yard line, we're not just like, throw it to Mo Alley Cox, throw it to 81. We're going to run it. Just kidding. Throw it to 81. Oh, it's 4th and goal. We tried it 3 times. It was the 4th time. Throw it to 81. Like, it's unbelievable what kind of weapon he has developed into. People forget he played basketball in college. He was not a football player. And the Colts took a chance on him as essentially a completely raw prospect, and he's paying dividends to them already. And you know what? Again, Chris Ballard loves to sign his guys. I wouldn't be surprised if Mo Alley Cox gets a nice contract when his number gets called. So, but yeah, 2 touchdowns from him. Carson Wentz obviously is getting comfortable with him. Michael Pittman is looking really good as the future wide receiver 1, and Carson Wentz looks really comfortable throwing the ball to him, which is an encouraging sign.
He's tall.
All right, you're not wrong. We saw it in week 3 also, or in week 2 really, that loss to the Rams. I mean, who did he go to with Aaron Donald in his face on the 3rd and 14 with a 42-yard bomb down the sideline? It was right to Pittman. Trusting his receiver to get to a spot. So we've seen some encouraging things in that connection already. And the Mo Alley Cox one, he's hit Doyle a lot. So, I mean, he's doing a good job of spreading the ball around. In fact, I saw a stat the other day or just yesterday that PFF, take it with a grain of salt as PFF. But there are 3 quarterbacks this season that have thrown 0 turnover-worthy passes. It's Tom Brady. I cannot remember the second one. And it's Carson Wentz. So basically just, hey, he has not thrown a turnover-worthy pass. And again, we talked about in the offseason, on and off the podcast, like that's all the Colts need at the quarterback spot. Just an Alex Smith game manager type of guy, because they've put together such a good roster. Now they are decimated by injuries, and hopefully they can just kind of hang on and try to start getting healthy. Because I mean, looking at the injury report for this week, Braden Smith is still out. I think Rock Ya-Sin might still be out.
Yep, he's out.
And there was even another starter, and I can't remember. I know Darius Leonard is not out or anything, but he was limited in practice. Obviously, Quentin Nelson is still out. So, basically at this point, I'm hoping to get healthy, and I'm hoping to not see Julian Davenport on the offensive line again. And I think we'll be okay.
That's like PTSD to Colts fans, I swear.
Oh my God, I know. I just can't.
But thanks to him sucking, we did get that amazing Andrew Luck Superman touchdown.
You are not
he
wrong.
Muffed the snap.
You are not wrong. No, he didn't muff the snap. It bounced off his foot. Like that's why the ball. Like go back and watch the play because he's not the center. He's the right guard.
Yeah.
But when the snap comes and Luck doesn't get it, it bounces on the ground. And before Luck can go and step to it, Samson Telly, when he backs up, because he's already getting beat as soon as the ball is snapped, when he's falling over, he steps backwards and essentially kicks the ball with his heel, and it like perfectly kicks right to Luck. Then he hops in Superman, and we get the
It's still garbage. I hate him.
I know it's so bad. My favorite part, now that you brought that play up in him, my favorite part of that whole play is like watching it live. I lost my mind because I'm like, oh, it's a fumble. Oh my God, it's a touchdown. And I'm watching, and I'm hooting and hollering. I'm freaking out. We're coming back in this playoff game. It's unbelievable. What is happening? And then you see a replay. And I remember getting so pissed in the replay. Like a touchdown just happened. It happened. But I remember getting so pissed in the replay because I'm watching. I'm like, oh, of course it's Samson Telly in there falling over and kicking the ball. And it just happened to go to Luck. I remember being so pissed. So hilarious. But hey, back to these Colts. They're 1-3 now. Would have been, they had a must win in week 3 against Tennessee in Tennessee.
It was a center for the Colts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But they had that must win 2 weeks ago in Tennessee. Ended up being a brutal, disappointing loss. I hate to be that guy that says it was aided by some iffy calls, but there were I'll just put it this way. There were some really tough calls at the end of the game that both happened to go against the Colts, and they were both pass interference. Xavier Rhodes gets called for pass interference on a deep ball on a 3rd down. That I would have been okay with the call had they also called pass interference in the end zone on the subsequent possession for the Colts. It's one of those things that it really sucks, especially when it's your team. Y'all know how it feels when it's your team and you're watching and you're like, wait, we got called for the pass interference and then we didn't get the pass interference call. It's not right. So it has to, I want consistency. That's what I've always said about officiating in any sport. I don't care if you're going to call a ticky-tack game, call it from the start on both sides. As annoying as it is, at least you're consistent. Or if you're letting them play physically through the first 3 quarters, don't all of a sudden start throwing flags in the 4th quarter because they're getting physical. Like, there you go. So that was a really tough, brutal one. Obviously, the Colts did themselves no favors in that game, only putting up 16 points anyway. But to bounce back from the 0-3 start in Miami, and for the defense to show up the way they did, basically, eliminating Miami all out of the end zone until garbage time. Yeah. Had to feel really good. They got turnovers. They made plays. That defense finally looked like the defense of last year. It only took them 4 weeks, but they finally looked like that fast, hard-hitting, explosive, hungry.
Because Xavier Rhodes was back.
It was definitely a big part of it. But yeah, they looked hungry, I think, for the first time this season, and not really like scared. I feel like they played so afraid the first couple of weeks of giving up big plays or missing tackles that they were in their heads. They were thinking too much and not just playing, I think. And last week they finally, I think, just kind of let the chains off, let it loose, and just really got after it. And they were hungry, and they looked at it in all 4 quarters. Like I said, didn't give up touchdowns until kind of garbage time. And then Carson Wentz still made plays late in the game to ice it. Felt really good. Felt like what we're hoping for a Colts win all season. Defense first and offense kind of catches up and puts it away late. Because basically the way the Colts are built, they're not built to come back from behind, kind of like how Tennessee is built. They're built based on running the ball and spreading it out. So they're built to play in close games or with a lead. When you get them down kind of 2 touchdowns and you force them to throw the ball more than they would like, and they can't really establish the running game, that's when they get into trouble. So it's really critical for the defense to get off on the right foot and start off strong. So that way the offense doesn't find themselves in a 14-3 hole at the end of the first quarter. So we finally saw that this past week, and it did lead to a Colts W. So some hope, some life for this Colts team. We're a quarter of the way through the season, as I mentioned. Toddeh, do we still see the Colts as a playoff team? sitting at 1-3 right now?
No. I mean, as a wild card, maybe, yeah.
We
could win the division. We could win the division.
Yeah, so not only did the Colts get their first win last week against Miami, but the cherry on top of that was Tennessee losing to the Jets on a missed field goal in overtime. So the Titans fall to the Jets. They're only 2-2. The Colts somehow, through all of this, are only one game back of the division. And let's be honest, I think they're still getting the tough part of their schedule out of the way, but they're getting, it seems, the tougher part of their schedule out of the way early. Mm-hmm. So I think the hope is if we can get through the tough part of the schedule and get healthy, we can go on a similar run like we did a couple of years ago when the Colts were 1-5 and won 9 of their last 10.
Yeah.
So I think for me, that's the hope that I'm holding on to, is that, hey, let's get through these brutal games. Please, let's get healthy, and then we can take off. And especially, like we talked about, I don't think this division is going to run away from the Colts. Mm-hmm. I think the Colts and Titans are going to kind of jar for it all season. So it'll be an interesting one. But yeah, I mean, I think those are our NFL headlines, really. Like I said, congrats to the Cardinals for being this year's last undefeated team. They are one that, hey, again, call me whatever you want to call me, but they're a team that I pull for. They're super fun to watch with Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins. They added AJ Green, who's made some plays already this season, contributing for them. And brought in JJ Watt for essentially, I think, for the playoff run.
Yeah.
You're not going to see him a lot, I think, early on in the season. And like I said, Kyler Murray's playing like an MVP, whether he wins it or not. He's taken that that next big step, and catapulted himself into the MVP conversation. And he looks the part. They look like a tough team to beat. So congrats to them. I think the NFC is in good hands. The future of the NFC is in good hands with a young, dynamic quarterback like that. Yeah, I mean, and you know what? I think after that week one kind of debacle with the Packers, that, like we said, they've gotten back on track. Aaron Rodgers looks good. Not quite to his, I think, 5 touchdowns a game self, but
no,
it's kind of hard. Even for Aaron Rodgers, I think it's kind of hard to beat Aaron Rodgers every week. So, but hey, he's had one of the best moments so far in this season, that San Francisco game with 37 seconds left, no timeouts. And just, I mean, the confidence to know, like, they left me time on the clock, man. They left me too much time on the clock, even with no timeouts. It was amazing. The fact that San Francisco didn't double up Devontae Adams, I think he knew he had it in the bag as soon as he saw that too.
Oh yeah,
definitely. Nothing quite like after getting into field goal range and spiking the ball. Nothing quite like seeing him spike the ball and then turn and fist pump like he just won the game because he knew Mason Crosby was going to nail it. I mean, just goosebumps, man. Just absolute goosebumps.
Tom Brady with 2 minutes left on the clock. Aaron Rodgers with 30 seconds on the clock. Easy win.
You just know it, right? There's those guys that you just know. You just know you can't leave any time on the clock. Peyton Manning was the same way. You knew that you just couldn't do it. You had to somehow find a way for it to be triple zeros, where you felt like even if there was one tick, that was one tick too many.
Oh, yeah.
And that it takes a special quarterback to be like that. So yeah, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, and obviously Aaron Rodgers are the top of that kind of list. So yeah, you know what, Toddeh, I think that's about gonna do it for this week, man.
Yeah.
I think we hit everything we wanted to hit.
We did. Unfortunately, Michael will not be able to give his say on any of our topics, but
that's fine.
We got a
You feel like the dialogue was a little nicer this week and went a little smoother. I can't quite put my finger on it.
Michael.
No, we love you, Michael. We love giving you a hard time, but we love you. Hopefully we'll have we'll be at full strength next week. We'll continue to update you on the MLB playoff picture. We're getting close, like we said, to that NBA regular season, and we have some great games on tap. So definitely stay tuned to that 3C Media channel and the MCT podcast. We'll upload each week that we can, and just stay tuned. We'll be coming. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.